Asante Samuel Sr. And you have to put the senior in because when you hear Asante Samuel now, you automatically think of his son, Asante Samuel Jr. Senior played for the Patriots for the first 5 years of his career before he took a big free agent deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Patriots fans may remember to their chagrin that in Samuel's last game with the Patriots, he had the ball in his hands for what would have been the game-ending interception that would have delivered 19-0 for the Patriots. So there already may be a predisposition to not exactly embrace anything that Asante Samuel Sr. has to say. But on the topic of the day, the thing that continues to dominate the National Football League, the status of Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, Asante Samuel Sr. chimed in as it relates to the notion that Jackson would like to play for the Patriots. Here's the tweet that just came out of the blue yesterday. The account is at Pick622. It is verified, at least for the rest of today. Tomorrow's a different story. Lamar Jackson, my brother, trust me, you don't want to play for Belichick. and look, you have to know what you're getting into when you go play for Bill Belichick. That's a given. Absolutely. Now, it doesn't matter because Jeff Howe of The Athletic reported earlier this week that the Patriots aren't interested. They won't be pursuing Lamar Jackson. We had that weird period of time when Robert Kraft acknowledged that Meek Mill had heard from Lamar Jackson about Jackson wanting to play for the Patriots, and Kraft said, hey, that's Bill Belichick's call. Bill Belichick asked about Lamar Jackson, says, I don't talk about anybody who's on another team, but he's really not on another team. It's kind of an old school, for a guy who is a habitual line stepper when it comes to interpreting and applying the rules of the game. It's just odd to see Bill Belichick so adamant about not getting into anything as it relates to Lamar Jackson. So we didn't know. We didn't know where the Patriots stood on Lamar Jackson until that report came out. And we assume the report's accurate. I have no reason to doubt it. And actually, I may have heard a thing or two that I couldn't quite necessarily use that makes me willing to embrace that report as being accurate, that the Patriots are not going to pursue Lamar Jackson. But I can understand why Samuel said what he said. Look, Bill Belichick is an acquired taste. He's a guy that you have to tolerate as a coach. He's different from other coaches. He really is old school. It's the Patriot way. It's my way or the highway. It's uncompromising. It's a little gruff. It's work, work, work. It's no days off. It's we celebrate our championship and that's it. It's you have to truly love football. Sometimes you're expected to take less. You truly are interchangeable parts. And Tom Brady got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And I'd say there have been players over the years that get to the point where they can't take it anymore, and my guess is Asante Samuel Sr. was one of them. The question moving forward for me, when we consider that Kraft really did put Belichick on the hot seat this year, given how he answered a very specific question that was posed to him earlier this week, can Bill Belichick survive another losing season, or will he be with your team long enough to catch Don Shula for the all-time wins record? Anytime you get a question like that and the answer isn't along the lines of course he's here. Of course, what are you talking about? Yes, he's our coach. Yes, we have 6 Super Bowl championships. We will stick with the guy that delivered 6 Super Bowl championships, even if we go 3 out of 4 years with no playoff appearances. When you don't get that answer, that means that Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. And will he change? Remember when Tom Coughlin, the year that the Giants beat the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, to knock off the team that was headed to 19-0, thanks in part to the Samuel drop of what would have been the game-sealing interception? Coughlin was on the hot seat, and Coughlin changed his way. Coughlin was a lot like Belichick, maybe worse. And Coughlin changed. And it worked. So maybe Bill Belichick will change. It's hard to change when you're 70. It's hard enough to change when you're 50 or 40. Change it when you're 70? We'll see if that happens. Let's bring in Peter. I think we have Peter. We have managed to get through 11 minutes of the show. It felt a lot longer than that. Peter, I haven't done this in a while. We don't have anybody that I can throw it to. Now I can throw it to you, and I'm going to start with the thing I was just talking about. because I don't know if you saw or heard what Robert Kraft had to say about Bill Belichick this week, but when he was asked a specific question about Belichick's job security, he did not answer it with a hell yes. And anytime you don't answer it with a hell yes, the answer is quite possibly he is in trouble. He is expected to win this year or else. Do you get the sense that Bill Belichick is in some sort of jeopardy if he doesn't deliver a playoff appearance this year?
I don't, unless it's a debacle, Mike. No, I don't think so. But it might be a debacle. If the Patriots are the fourth best team in that division and are below 500 again, Robert Kraft might look at that as a debacle. Now, obviously, you pointed out what was said in Phoenix, and I was there. I did not hear the question and answer. I think it was Mike Reese said to him, what do you say to Patriots fans? And Belichick hates these things. He detests these things. And quite honestly, when you think about it, it's a reason why Bill Belichick, just in general, treats most of his press conferences, other than a lot of the friendlier ones, in Foxborough, but he treats most of these press conferences like a trip to the dentist to do oral surgery without Novocaine. And that's basically what this was. This, to me, was not a news story, but it was made into a news story when he said 25 years. In other words, what he said was, we have a pretty good track record, and don't worry, we're going to get this thing turned around. And the free world basically said, whoa, you always say, don't talk about history. And he made a very minor reference toward history. And really, when you think about it, Mike, he's absolutely right. Give us a chance here. And, the bottom line in this thing is, without any question, the most important person in the Patriots organization this year is Bill O'Brien. And he has got to get Mac Jones. Look, on the surface, you would say, right, that, in some order, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua Tagovailoa are 1, 2, 3 in the AFC East quarterback standings. And as of today, Mac Jones is a distant fourth. So for a long time, for 2 decades, Bill Belichick had the top quarterback in this division every year. And now he doesn't have it. Not only doesn't he have 1 or 2, he's got number 4. And that's why Bill O'Brien needs to do with Mac Jones this year what he did the last 2 years with Bryce Young. And what he needs to do is he needs to make him play better than he has played so far. And Mike, I guess I would say one other thing about Belichick, that the important thing to realize when you're talking about Bill Belichick is that he does learn. He's not necessarily so set in his ways that he's not going to do anything differently. But what I think is important to realize with Belichick right now, he'll be 71 in 3 weeks. What's important to realize with Belichick right now is that he understands the pressure is on. And I don't think he particularly minds it. And I believe that he's going to respond, and the Patriots are going to be better this year. But what exactly does that mean if being better leads to 7 wins? It won't look like you're better. But when Aaron Rodgers comes into the division, all of a sudden, those nice 2 tidy wins you have over the Jets every year, even if you are better, you're not beating the Jets twice. Who knows? You might beat them once. You're not beating them twice.
And the Belichick comment about look at the last 25 years, I think a manifestation of the pressure he's feeling both inside and outside the organization, given that they haven't won a playoff game since Super Bowl 53. They have losing records 2 of the last 3 seasons. They went to the playoffs once the last 3 years and lost 47-17 to a division rival that they'd managed to beat just a few weeks earlier in a Monday night game. So there are reasons for him to be feeling it. And when he said what he said, it didn't register for me immediately that this is contrary to everything he preaches. But then out came Teddy Bruschi saying, hey, This is contrary to everything that Bill Belichick preaches. And something made him clarify that, which we never see Bill Belichick do, in part because he never says anything. See, I think his experience this week, Peter, just confirmed that he's been doing it the right way for 25 years by never saying anything, because when you say something, you potentially put yourself in a spot where you have to go clean up the mess that you made by the thing that you said. Now, one thing that I don't think we've played this week, I referenced it earlier, I wrote about it at PFT, but as time goes by, I'm learning that there are a lot of people who watch the show that don't read the site, and my first reaction is, why? What are you doing with the rest of your day? If you're going to spend some time watching us in the morning, it's very easy to do. It's on your cell phone device. Just pick it up and check it out. So here is the question and answer posed to Robert Kraft that made me think that anything other than a hell yes is a maybe no. Maybe we won't have Bill Belichick in 2024. Let's play it.
Look, I'd like him to break Don Shula's record, but I'm not looking for any of our players to get great stats. That isn't, we're about winning and doing whatever we can to win, and that's what our focus is now. And it's very important to me that we make the playoffs, and that's what I hope happens next year. I think Bill is exceptional at what he does, and I've given him the freedom to make the choices and do the things that need to be done. And his football intellect and knowledge is unparalleled from what I've seen. And just when you talk to him, the small things analytically that he looks at. But in the end, this is a business. You either execute and win or you don't. And, that's where we're at. I think we're in a transition phase. I think we've made some moves this year that I personally am comfortable with. And I still believe in Bill.
That was set up with the specific question of, does he need to make it to the playoffs this year to be around to chase Don Shula's all-time win record? And there was equivocation right out of the gates. There wasn't he'll be here. He'll be here. He's got the 6 rings. He'll be here. So when you listen to what Robert Kraft is saying, and the whole idea, he's in charge. I've given him the freedom. This is his mess, not mine. To the extent that we're down because of him. We're not down because of me. I've handed him the checkbook. I've given him the keys. I've provided him all the discretion that he could exercise to put this team together. And the results are the only thing that matters. Peter, this is so strange to me because we've never seen it before in the modern era of football. And by modern, I mean post-free agency. We saw Chuck Noll in Pittsburgh for more than a decade after the last time he won a Super Bowl. But they were competitive throughout the 80s. It tailed off in the late 80s and into the early 90s, and then Chuck Noll retired at the age of 58 or 59. We saw Tom Landry late in his run with the Cowboys before Jerry Jones bought the team. But to have 6 Super Bowl wins and to land in this 4-year period where they haven't won a playoff game and it feels like they're going down, in large part because the rest of the division has caught them. We really don't know how to interpret this because we have nothing to compare it to.
Well, Mike, when you were talking about that, the one thing that just really occurred to me, and look, Robert Kraft's in a tough spot. And I'll tell you what the tough spot of this is. No matter what he thinks deep down inside, if he answers that question and says, Bill Belichick is my coach for life, if that's what he says, that Bill has nothing to worry about ever, and suppose, they win 6 games this year and 7 next year, and they're in last place in each year, and Bill Belichick is 73 or 74 years old, whatever it would be at the time. If I'm Robert Kraft, I'm probably thinking, time to give Bill the gold watch. And the other thing that I thought about is, And I think you have to look at the raw numbers right now. Bill Belichick, altogether, regular season and playoff wins, has 329 victories. Don Shula has 347. So Bill Belichick needs 19 victories to win, to pass Don Shula. So at this point, you answer me this question. I'll ask you this, Mike. He needs 19 victories right now, given the state of the division that he coaches in. You tell me, does Bill Belichick break that record in 2024, or does he have to go into September or October of 2025? And could Robert Kraft see an unsuccessful 2+ years of Bill Belichick and bring him back basically simply to break the record of Don Shula? I don't see Kraft doing that.
No, and that's the first thing he went to. We'd like to see all of our players have great statistics, but we're not here for statistics. We're here for wins. Now, the statistic in this specific case is wins, but if you're not getting them quickly enough, we're not just going to hang around for Bill Belichick to get his 19 wins to pass Don Shula all time, and he's 30 wins behind if we look at regular season, and some people hang their head on regular season, and some people hang their head on total wins. But either way, we're just not going to punch the clock year in and year out waiting for him to get to Don Shula. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get back to a Super Bowl and win it. And Peter, I don't think it's going to happen over the course of the next 2 years because of the fact that the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins are dramatically better than they were during the heyday of the Patriots. And I don't want to take anything away from what the Patriots accomplished because they were consistently getting at least to the AFC Championship game every single year. And then some years they'd follow it with a Super Bowl appearance. Some years they'd cap it with a Super Bowl win. But they were we talk about being on the doorstep, being on the front porch. They were banging on the door every freaking year. And when you look back at that 20 years, you can argue maybe they should have won 9 or 10. That's how close they were every single year. But one of the reasons they were in that mix every year, they ran roughshod over the 3 teams in their division. They had 6 wins, minimum of 5 every year, put themselves in position to be the 1 seed, forced other teams to come to Foxborough in January, and position themselves where, back when you had 2 byes, you have a week off, you win 1 game at home in the division round, and there you are in the AFC Championship. And it was every year. There you are. Well, how hard is it to be in the AFC Championship every year when you're a 2 seed at worst, and all you have to do is win a playoff game at home on a Saturday or a Sunday in January, and you're in the AFC Championship? And again, I don't want to take anything away from it because those are not the only games on the schedule, but it's a hell of a lot easier when those teams are road apples than when they are teams that are going to turn you into mincemeat, right?
They're road apples. I haven't heard that one in a long time. Well, Mike, how about this? The other day after Kraft said what he said, I just went back and looked at it. And when you think about it, okay, who are the big bad wolves in that division over the last couple of years? Certainly Buffalo. And obviously, it's turning into the Miami Dolphins. Okay. So if you look at the Buffalo Bills in the last 3 years, post Brady, the New England Patriots have played them 7 times and they've won 1 win, 6 losses against the Buffalo Bills. And then you look at the Miami Dolphins, who, have always been a little bit of a nemesis nemesis, I guess the players on the team would constitute a plural. So they've always been they've been a nemesis, I guess. So the Miami Dolphins, since Tom Brady walked out of there, the Patriots are 2-4 against the Dolphins. What that means is that in 3 years, the New England Patriots have lost a total of 10 games out of whatever that is, 13 games against the Bills and the Dolphins. And when you're 3-10 over your biggest competition, that means this is not just 1 season or 2. This is 3 years where you are clearly, unequivocally, overall the 3rd best team in your division. And like I said, you have Aaron Rodgers coming in now. This is unprecedented in Bill Belichick Patriots history. This will be coming up his 24th season covering coaching the New England Patriots. And you've got to go back to his first year when he went 5-11 to see when the New England Patriots were so clearly not a threat to the upper division of this division. And so I think that when I look at it, Mike, I just say Robert Kraft is a patient man, but I would agree with you. I think unless the Patriots somewhat dramatically overachieve this year and next, I won't be surprised if Belichick breaks the record somewhere else.
The Super Bowl odds heading into the season, the Patriots are the longest shot they've been for the entirety of Bill Belichick's tenure, all the way back to Kraft's arrival. 70-1, the longest odds for the Patriots to win the Super Bowl at this stage of the offseason since 1993, the year before Kraft bought the team. That is a sobering statistic if you're a Patriots fan or if you are Robert Kraft, who is accustomed to a certain level of performance, even though it took him a few years to find his coach who's been the guy for 24 years. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.